it's Charlie, or maybe it's Donkey. Honestly, it doesn't even matter at this point because today we are staring directly into the gaping bottomless abyss of absolute corporate financial madness. We are talking about AAA video games specifically. The games where publisher willingly set massive piles of investor cash on fire just so you can look at individual skin pores or climb a digital tower for the 50th time. We live in a truly unhinged era. Back in the day, a video game could be made by five guys in basement, fueled entirely on cheap room temperature pizza and top water. They would drop a masterpiece like Super Mario Bros. And call it a day. Total cost a drop in a bucket. But today, if a publisher doesn't hire a literal army of 4,000 individual 3D environment artists to hand like every single blade of grass on a digital mountain, they think they failed humanity. The industry is currently carrying up a clip because of this, so let's count down the real top 10 absolute biggest, most expensive cash fires in entertainment history, sequentially scaling up from ridiculous to completely impossible. Starting up at the number 10 spot, we have to go back to 1997 to see where this psychological illness originally started. Final Fantasy VII. Square Enix, back when they were just Squaresoft, spent roughly 45 millions on the actual core development of the game. But then they slapped down an absolute legendary $100 million purely on global marketing to make sure Western audiences knew what a chocobo was. Think about that. $145 million in 1997 money, adjusted for today's inflation, that is roughly the cost of building a literal stadium. They spent blockbuster movie money to make sure a generation of children watch a cartoon villain jump out of the ceiling and stab a girl in a pink dress. It is a masterpiece, but it permanently broke the brain of game publishers by proving that marketing costs could double development budgets. At number 9, we have Naughty Dog's magnum opus of absolute misery, The Last of Us Part 2. Sony who handed over a blank check worth of verified 220 million, and they used every single penny of it to make the player feel like a completely terrible human being for 20 straight hours. The technical execution here is absurd. They spent millions of dollars developing real-time rope physics that are genuinely more responsive and realistic than real-life ropes. That is cool, Naughty Dog. It really is. But maybe we could have shaved 20 million of the budget if we didn't spend 3 months of developer crunch making sure the blood splatters react dynamically to the fabric weave of the enemy's flannel shirt. Next up at number 8, we have the undisputed patriarch of modern financial juggernauts, Grand Theft Auto 5. In 2013, Rockstar Games struck up a combined development and marketing budget of 265 million, a number that completely shook the foundation of the entire entertainment industry at the time. Rockstar spent a quarter of $1 billion to let you steal a literal military fighter jet while playing as a psychotic middle-aged man wearing nothing but sustained white underwear, and honestly, it was worth every single penny. This game was so wildly successful that it has been re-released on every single piece of electronic hardware known to human civilization, generating billions in profit. It is the only game on this list that makes its astronomical budget look like a calculated bargain. At number 7, Insomniac Games spent a completely scorched earth in Sony's bank account thanks to a massive studio data leak. We know the exact unmasked number for Marvel Spider-Man 2, a staggering 315 million. Look at this web swinging, feels incredible. You can glide across Manhattan like a radioactive flying squirrel, but $315 million? That is a wild amount of cash. For that kind of money, I expect the game to physically jump out of my television screen and fold my laundry. Instead, we got a game where a significant portion of that budget went making sure that the digital sand particles from Sandman boss fight had individual ray traced lightning. You could buy a literal real world army of actual spiders for the price of training them to fight crime. Coming in at number 6, we have CD Projekt Red's Cyberpunk 2077. While the game's original cost around 316 million, when you combine the initial chaotic development budget, The massive global marketing push, the massive cost of the Phantom Liberty DLC, and the three subsequent years of intense emergency CPR required to fix the game, the total bill skyrocketed to massive 441.9 million. On launch day, this game was held together entirely by scotch tape, a prayer, and a pure corporate delusion. It arrived so completely broken that Sony literally pulled it off the digital PlayStation Store entirely. Because it was breaking consoles, it took nearly half $1 billion and years of frantic post-launch updates just to turn this into an actual video game they promised us in the first place. Breaking past half billion mark at number 5, we have Activision's monster cash cow, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. According to recent Microsoft court filings, the development and marketing budget for this single entry alone clocked in an absolute devastating 640 million. They spent over $600 million so that military enthusiasts could argue on Reddit about whether the bold release and animation on N4 Combine is perfectly lifelike. The game looks and sounds incredible, but remember this. This is a franchise that launches a new title almost every single year, spending over $500 million on a game that gets actively replaced by the next sequel 12 months later is a level of capitalistic madness that defies human logic. Right above its sibling at number 4, Activision managed to undo themselves immediately with Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, running a total budget of 700 million. Think about the math here. Between Modern Warfare and Cold War, Activision spent well over $1.3 billion on back to back shooting games. Where does the money go? It goes into hiring elite Hollywood voice acting, licensing pop music from the 1980s, and rendering hyper digital explosion. They spent nearly three quarters of $1 billion on a campaign that lasts exactly 5 hours just so millions of people can log online and gets absolutely destroyed by a 12-year-old snorting energy drinks. It is a financial empire built entirely on right above its digital sibling at number 4, chaos. Activision managed to undo themselves immediately with Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, running a total budget of 700 million. Think about the math here. Between Modern Warfare and Cold War, Activision spent well over $1.3 billion on back to back shooting games. Where does the money go? It goes into hiring elite Hollywood voice acting, licensing pop music from the 1980s, and rendering hyper digital explosion. They spent nearly three quarters of $1 billion on a campaign that lasts exactly 5 hours. Just so millions of people can log online and gets absolutely destroyed by a 12-year-old snorting energy drinks. It is a financial empire built entirely on digital chaos. Breaking to the top 3, we have the ultimate video game hustle of all time, Star Citizen. This game doesn't have even a traditional publisher. It is funded entirely by fans buying digital JPEG spaceships for thousands of real world dollars. To date, the project has raised over $788 million and is still growing on its path to cross $1 billion. Here's the kicker. Star Citizen started development when dinosaurs roamed the Earth, and it's still technically an alpha. They spent nearly $800 million building a game where you can manually walk around your ship, fly seamlessly into orbit, and look at cosmic dust. But if you accidentally trip over a stray cardboard box in a hangar bay, your character's skeleton explodes into dust, and it's the most expensive, visually stunning interactive screensavers ever built by human hands. At number 2, we have a game that completely flies under the radar when people think of a traditional massive AAA studio cost. Genshin Impact. Do not let the colorful anime aesthetic fool you. This project's a verified financial black hole. When Chinese developer MiHoYo first launched the game, the initial development budget was a respectable 100 million. But because this is an ongoing live service game wrapped inside an open world structure, MiHoYo spends roughly 200 million every single year just to expand the map, record orchestral music, and create new characters. The cumulative budget spent on this single game has officially soared past 900 million, making it the most expensive actively maintained video game on Earth. They spent nearly $1 billion to build a gorgeous, sprawling world just so they could convince a fully grown adult to spend their actual hard earned mortgage money trying to roll out a virtual 5-star character who fights enemy with a magical claymore. It is a beautiful orchestrated virtual casino and the house always and finally, occupying the undisputed throne of absolute financial infinity at the number one spot, Rockstar Games struck a third time with Grand Theft Auto 6. Multiple industry insider reports, financial disclosures, and veteran analysts' estimation have pinned the total budget for GTA 6 anywhere between 1.5 billion and $2 billion. Let's put that mind-boggling number into perspective. You could combine the production budgets of the biggest movies ever made, and GTA 6 still costs significantly more than all of them combined. It is officially the single most expensive entertainment project ever created by human civilization. Period. Why did it cost $2 billion? Because Rockstar refused to sell for anything less than a literal Matrix level simulation of the state of Florida. They spent hundreds of millions developing proprietary artificial intelligence system just so that every single NPC walking down the street has their own unique daily routine, distinct personality quirks, and realistic behavior patterns. They built literal statewide surveillance network inside a consumer software product. But here's the kicker. They are spending $2 billion on a game where the primary core gameplay loop is still exactly the same as it was in the year 2001. You can run up to a car, you press the triangle button to pull an innocent driver off the seat, and then try to escape out of a three-star police chase while listening to the pop music on the radio. They spent $2 billion to take a classic gameplay formula and dress it up in a multi-billion-dollar tuxedo. So to recap the absolute height of corporate budget insanity here are the official top 10 financial juggernauts of the modern video game industry. Number 10 is Final Fantasy VII for 145 million. So the veritable equivalent cost is like marketing an RPG like a Hollywood blockbuster. The Last of Us Part 2 takes the number 9 with $220 million. The real world equivalent masterpiece of dynamic raw physics and sadness. Went up out of 5, 265 million, stealing fighter jet in your underwear basically. Marvel Spider-Man 2, 315 million, ray trace sun particles and train spiders. Number 6 is Cyberpunk 2077 for 441.9 million. T-posting your rays were years of emergency CPR. And number 5, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, 640 million. Hyper realistic vault release on a 1 year shelf life. Call of Duty Black Ops War, 700 million, spending to fortune to get destroyed online by 12-year-old. Star Citizen with 788 million plus, buying spaceship JPEGs in a virtual alpha state. And number 2 is Genshin Impact with 900 million plus, operating the most expensive anime casino on earth. And number 1 is Grand Theft Auto 6 with 1.5 billion to well, 1.5 billion to 2 billion, the production budget of every major movie combined. In summary, the video game industry has shifted into a reality where major publishers routinely spend hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars to chase hyperrealism and infinite scale, completely redefining the financial boundaries of modern entertainment. That is it for me. Stop promoting this billion dollar corporate cash fires and go play NAC 2 instead, I guess. So this is